another episode of the Planko podcast. For those of you who've been following us since the beginning, you may recognize
Erik.
Erik is back on the Planko podcast. Erik, great to have you back.
Thank you. I feel like I have been not too I haven't been present at all. But
No, you haven't been here.
I haven't been here. But I felt like it's time to start contributing a bit more. Obviously, I had some
20 minutes later.
No one cares.
Okay.
So anyway, you're back. That's the best thing about it. And due to high demand, we've decided to do some episodes and provide some facts. Because I put a poll out on Instagram about a week ago of if you wanted more guests or if you wanted more facts on the show. So this episode, what are we going to be talking about, Erik?
We're going to be talking about vegan athletes because we are both interested in sports, and it's something that I think we have been talking about a lot as well. About we should cover this topic, and we've got an interesting episode aligned. At least that's what I think.
It is. Let's get into it because there's more and more athletes that are turning towards a plant-based diet, especially obviously for their health. That's why we're going to talk more about plant-based than about veganism, because it's more about the personal health aspect of it. Right. So what have you found out for us today? So
I've done some research about this fact, and since you said there's a lot of athletes that are now going plant-based, there must be a reason behind it. And one of the reasons was that going on a plant-based diet helps the blood to get a thicker viscosity, which means that more oxygen gets sent to the muscles. The hemoglobin, which needs obviously a significant amount of oxygen when you're performing high-intensity sports, both mentally and physically. And obviously athletes that are performing at high ends of, I don't know whether it's basketball, Formula 1, football, you are constantly having to perform at the best level, both mentally and physically. So
yeah, and what comes back a lot seems to be the recovery rate seems to be a lot better when you move to a plant-based diet, and I felt that just in day-to-day.
Right.
Like the quality of sleep is better, you recover a lot quicker, you get your energy levels back at a lot quicker rate than before when you're eating all this heavy, fatty, saturated fats. Yeah. So I've seen that just on a day-to-day basis as well, and it seems like a lot of athletes are mentioning that as well.
Yeah, a lot of them. We'll be mentioning the athletes in a second, but Venus Williams, which is one of them, who she said that she recovers a lot better. She feels that she recovers a lot better, and we'll get into why she went vegan. But also Novak Djokovic also feels that he recovers well. He can perform longer. He can perform at a higher, just for a longer period of time. He can perform a lot better what he used to. So that's one of the many reasons, or one of the quotes that's been done by many of the athletes, and about specifically being recovered.
So we might as well talk about these athletes then. Let's start off with let's start with my favorite sport, tennis.
Right.
Tennis.
Yeah. So Venus Williams, she was diagnosed by the Sjögren syndrome, and
what is that?
So it's an autoimmune disease. So basically, it's sort of in a way that your immune system is attacking itself. So it basically was working against her. She's getting chronic pains and stuff like that. And she then decided to adopt a raw vegan diet, which is quite intense. Ever since then, she has been raw vegan. I'm not sure if she still follows that raw strict diet today, but she does still practice a plant-based diet.
Yeah, I mean, it's done a lot for her because, I mean, she's still competing and winning.
She's still competing.
Because she's over 40 now, isn't she?
Yeah, I think she's 40, what is she? 39, actually. Yeah. And even her sister, Serena, she did it out of solidarity. So she also jumped on board by showing courtesy to her sister, who's also, I'm sure you guys are aware of, Serena Williams, which are
one of the biggest.
Both of them are the two biggest, I think, in the female side of it.
Yeah, they've been dominating the female tennis scene for decades, as long as I can remember, actually, since early 2000s, really, when I started following tennis as well. And on the male side of it, Wimbledon champion.
Yeah, that's I still believe that he had the advantage, possibly because of that, but maybe also his age. Either way, I wanted Federer to win. But
yeah, I was supporting Federer as well. Even though we shouldn't say that.
No, exactly. But both of them, tremendous athletes. They are icons, especially for us who like tennis. But obviously, the guy in focus here, Novak Djokovic, who also follows a plant-based diet. He doesn't like to be called vegan, obviously, because of reasons around it.
Yeah, there's a whole connotation to it, isn't it? And that's why we're going to try and stick to plant-based for the athletes.
Yeah, true that.
But we'll get into the vegan aspect of sport and the animal products that are used in just a little bit as well.
Yep.
So,
in fact, actually, Novak opened up. Was it a vegan restaurant?
I saw that.
Was it in London or where was it?
It's in Belgrade, isn't it?
Belgrade, maybe it was in Belgrade, actually. Yeah, I'm sure why I said that.
I want to go to his restaurant, actually. Do you think he works there? I would just love to go into a restaurant and just be served by Novak.
Served by him?
Oh, tennis joke. I like it. Tennis and
that.
food. Much needed.
Yeah, so also Novak Djokovic is an incredible performer, and he also mentioned that he feels that he can recover. He recovers a lot better compared to when he was not following a plant-based diet. And he doesn't like the cruelty side of it, which I think most people don't like the cruelty.
No one enjoys the cruelty side, yeah.
And obviously they emphasize on the fact like they don't want to be a part of it. And I think it's good as well, like, even though, like you said, nobody likes it, but that they emphasize on it, and I think that's great as well. So.
Yeah, and I was listening to the Plant-Based News podcast, I think it was last week. They released an episode with Chris Smalling, who's a defender for Manchester United football team, soccer team, for those of you who...
or the American side of the...
Yeah. A big shout out to all American followers, by the way. We do love having your feedback on our Instagram as well. And so he's obviously turned to a plant-based diet influenced by his wife, and obviously he's continued it, and he thrives on his plant-based diet. Yep. And I do find that it is a lot easier when you do have like a plant-based partner as well. The influence that they can have makes it easier. And then if you're at home, obviously you have only plant-based food at home as well. So it makes things a lot easier than that. And as we're into football, discovered something today.
Max is not into football whatsoever. I think today he has gone absolutely ballistic about this.
I lost faith in football about 10 years ago. Yeah, soccer about 10 years ago. Because for me now, like, they earn so much money that they're not even... Most footballers aren't even good role models for children today as well. Because the way they act on a football pitch, I don't think that is the way that we should lead by example.
No.
And it's just, I don't know, even the way they play for their national teams, they just don't put in the same effort as they do when there's money involved. Like, I don't know. I find there's not the same pride in football as there used to be, and there's not the same love of the game.
No, it's true. And also one of the things is, but this is more of a side of seeing that people sometimes, kids especially giving up their educational side, and they think that they can become pros. And I think maybe that should be emphasized more, but that's a different topic. But
you look at basketball. You cannot go to the NBA if you haven't completed 1 year of college, I think it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's a sort of a thing where you put more of an example. And the US are relatively good amongst other things, and not so good in others, but they are strict on the fact that even if you go to basketball college, if you're not performing well in the college, you have no spot in the team. So they're dead strict on that, and I think that should be for most sports.
Yeah, because I mean, there's so many kids, like, they put their whole childhood into football, and kids are signed to football teams at like 12 years old, 7 years old.
Yeah, it's true.
It's just, it's wrong. It's like exploitation of children. Anyway, that's not what we were talking about originally. I wanted to talk about New Forest Rovers.
Oh, New Forest Rovers. Big shout out to them. We just discovered you guys today.
Yeah.
And
spent like an hour on your website ordering your shirts and looking at all your merchandise.
Right. And so it's a football team in the second league in the UK. And it's in Forest. What was it called?
It's kind of in a forest, yeah.
Yeah, it's
close to Bristol.
Yeah, Forest Green. And when Max, yeah, you should take this one, since you were the one doing the heavier research.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, they're a 100% vegan football club, which is incredible. Every player eats plant-based. They banned meat consumption a few years ago and went the first fully vegan football team. I think it was 2015, which is incredible. And even their football pitch, it's an organic football pitch. Like, the grass is fully grown, no pesticides. They've got like an electric vehicle to mow the grass. It's like the best thing that I like about it.
All the supporters are vegan.
I don't know about that. But what I love is even the food they serve at the ground is 100% plant-based. And that is just incredible.
And I think it just shows that, it's either all or nothing. And they have really... shown that they care so much about that, and the fact that all the athletes are plant-based, and they've really thought about everything. The jersey was made of 50% bamboo, and rest was made from other material that was obviously not contributing to emissions at all. So kudos to those guys.
I mean, it's mainly down to the chairman, Dale Vince. He's the founder of Ecotricity, which is like a renewable energy company in the UK, and he kind of started implementing all of this when he became the major shareholder. So Dale, Vince, great. I'm coming to watch a match.
We're big time supporters, been live supporters for you guys all the time.
From now on, this is the
it's
football team that I will
like
support.
The new Barcelona fans, you know. Like,
Imagine how amazing that is, though. Like how incredible that is.
I think it's great. We'll put a link to the website, and if you guys want to go in and have a look, do support them. And I mean, even the sponsors that they have, I think was great because they've got the cheese and
cheese and Sea Shepherds as well.
Sea Shepherds, you know, and it's great. I mean, it's great to see.
It's just so ethical, you know. It's such a sport that's seen around the world for teams to be getting finally involved into the environmental aspect of it, and how much impact they can have with the influence they have is insane. Like if more teams were to move towards that, it would be great.
Do you think a lot of their supporters went vegan because of this?
I don't know.
It'll be interesting to find out.
I'm sure there's a lot of people like us who are like, this is my favorite football team now.
Has always been.
And you can find them on Instagram at FGRFC_official. I'll put a link to that down below as well. So do follow them, do support them. They won yesterday on penalties in the League Cup.
Yes, they did. So well done, guys. Proud of you.
We'll be doing a weekly podcast about Forest Rovers.
Exactly, like sports commentary. We'll become professional insiders and everything.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
So now let's move on to your sport of choice.
My sport of choice, which is also seen as a big question mark within the environment, but I've always been a big fan of Formula One, and most of you know probably Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton is a plant-based athlete, and he's probably one of the most out there iconic athletes in terms of plant-based.
Probably the richest one.
And I mean, richest in terms of progress and his career titles. And he's 5 world championships with Mercedes, and I mean, he's been doing phenomenal in that sense. And he's also claiming that he's just become a better racing driver through his course of following a plant-based diet, because once again, when you're driving a car at 300 kilometers an hour, there's so much strength, you're fighting so much G, and you're doing this for almost an hour and a half, 2 hours. You go to drive in places like Singapore, which has a temperature of around 30 degrees, and humidity levels are scorching high. And he just claims that he's won the latest 2 Singapore races, and he claims that he has that competitive advantage because he can focus better in the cockpit when he drives. And so, I mean, I do recognize, because even when I do sports, you know, I'm obviously not an athlete in that sense, but I feel like I do recover better. I do play football once in a while, and I just feel...
What's your favorite team?
Forest Rovers.
God, good choice, man. Me too.
That was a close one. It's like threw at me. So he obviously he mentions as well, like he believes that about this whole protein story, and he's had people saying, his friends, like, oh, I need my protein so I can't go vegan, and obviously he has backfired on that as well, and showed that it is possible, because before he went vegan, he weighed 65 kilos, and in order to be in Formula One, you need to maintain a certain weight balance because of equality amongst so you don't have any weight difference. But anyways, and then he went up to 75 within, was it a year and a half?
So he put on 10 kilos on a plant-based diet.
Yeah, and if you see a picture of him, for those who want to, but before and after, you can see, like, he is ripped. He is really given that advantage.
And I follow him on Instagram. Even recently, he's posting quite a lot of like activism stuff as well about animal cruelty, and not just about the health aspect of it, but also the ethics of veganism and not just plant-based. And I find that's great, like with the influence that he has as well to put that out there.
And he is now an ambassador with a clothing company that I've seen.
Really?
He is. And he's made his own collection and everything.
It's all vegan friendly. And
I don't know. That's the thing. I was thinking about that before, because, I mean, I'll mention the company, Hilfiger. So he's become a brand ambassador. He's got his own collection. I haven't actually found out if his products are.
We'll have to check it out.
We do. But yeah, that's probably shows as well, like how physically and mentally strong he is in the car, and that's probably one of my favorite athletes out there.
Yeah, and about Formula One though, I mean the sport. I mean a lot of people don't call it a sport really, but the sport has changed a lot in the past few years when it comes to the environmental aspect of it. Because I mean, for a lot of people, including myself, like I see it as cars going around in a circle, and it's not like a necessary thing. I mean, any sport technically is wasteful in the environment. When you think about it, you look at football, the teams travel one city to the
Right.
next, one country to fly on an airplane. So you can look at any sport from that aspect. Tennis players, they fly from one side of the world to the other.
Yeah, and I mean the maintenance of everything. It comes from watering the grass of a football pitch. How much water just
Yeah.
goes to waste on watering football? Even
Yeah.
AstroTurf, electricity that powers these massive arenas, the food that gets supplied, and obviously, unlike the Green Forest Rovers, who do serve a fully plant-based menu, but there's just so much.
And a solar-powered robot grass
Right.
mower. That's just insane.
You can just go on and on. We should have made a separate episode about Green Forest Rovers.
It's just amazing. It gives me hope again in this planet, you know.
Yeah, true that. Especially for sport lovers. But yeah, no, going back to the F1 there, like they have, it is a big contributor to a lot of emission out there, and I know that. And that, I mean, no one is perfect. I still love it because I've been that kid going up early in the mornings to watch a race on the other side of the world. So I just have that in me. And
do you know how much fuel like a Formula One car uses like per 100 kilometers? I suppose it depends on speed as well, doesn't it?
I mean, yeah, each car is loaded with around 50 kilos of fuel every race. So, and that lasts for around an hour and a half. They went from V8 engines, which were really thirsty, so you'd probably, but then you were refueling during the race. But I think you'd consume almost 250 to 300. So it's gone down half already, because it's a hybrid engine that they've implemented.
Because it's not as loud as it used to be as well, is it?
No, that's another, yeah, that's something I don't like, because I like the noise. But I think it is obviously, it's reduced the noise pollution, it's reduced the emissions, which is great. And yeah, so they are working towards more and more environmental impacts. And then you have Formula E, which is fully electric supercars.
But that's not half as popular as...
No, but it is constantly growing, and big companies like...
Do you think they'll ever like merge all into one, like all these formulas?
Nobody knows. I mean, at the end of it, I think it's a financial question. Could be, but I know that F1 and engines and this will come to an end. Unfortunately for me, but fortunately for many others that possibly don't support the sport. But I do think that it will go into an electric era. So
yeah.
So we'll
that
see.
Makes sense. This is the future.
Exactly. Yeah, true that.
So also we did a bit of research into basketball as well, because like basketball.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Big fan.
Mr. Kyrie Irving.
Kyrie Irving is also plant-based, and interesting fact. But this is something that I've heard a lot as well. When people cut down on meat, cut down on dairy, everything, and that's obviously watching certain documentaries. And he watched Forks Over Knives on Netflix, and he said after he watched that, he decided to go vegan, full on, or plant-based.
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of 4 documentaries out there that people watch, usually in a row. I kind of watch them in a row. So there's Cowspiracy, Forks Over Knives, What the Health, and Earthlings.
That one's tough, yeah.
They're like the big 4 of the documentaries that I always recommend people to watch. Obviously, Dominion, that came out last year, which is on the same basis of animal culture as Dominion. So if you haven't seen any of these documentaries, do check them out. I'll put links to them down below. They are very informative. And if you're not yet plant-based, they will definitely plant a seed in your mind.
And that's planted by the plant code.
Yeah. Planted by the plant. It's in plantception.
Deep. Kyrie Irving is he moved. He went to Brooklyn Nets.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
This summer?
Yes.
I'm really not up to date with my NBA knowledge. Thank God this isn't a sports podcast.
Exactly. Imagine it. Like, so Kyrie Irving is now doing his second season in Celtics. No. He went to Brooklyn.
Yeah.
He went to Brooklyn. He went there. Still plant-based. So whichever team that he plays in.
Brooklyn's amazing for vegan restaurants, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah. Like Brooklyn is like the place to be for vegan. Yeah, I was there like when I was in New York. Like it's great. Maybe that's why he went there.
Maybe because there's so many restaurants they can get.
But I think Boston's pretty good as well for vegan stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway.
US they are becoming a lot better. I think those are Australia, especially I think as well, is good.
Yeah.
It has a lot of selections in terms of vegan restaurants in the US as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, Kyrie Irving, we're proud of you. And
also there's one of the world's strongest men is like broken Guinness World Records, Patrik Baboumian. I hope I said that right. There was actually a bit of controversy about him. Yeah, there was a bit of controversy about him recently because they were talking about him on Joe Rogan's podcast, the Joe Rogan Experience. There was another powerlifter or whatever, world's strongest man that was on the show, And they were saying that Patrik Baboumian wasn't a legitimate world's strongest man because he hadn't competed in that singular event. So there was a bit of controversy about that, and they were dissing him.
Different categories.
Yeah, there's so many different categories, but he's broken Guinness World Records, and he's plant-based. So they were just attacking him on the basic that he was plant-based and that you can't be a world's strongest man on a plant-based diet.
Yeah, they. I think it's tough for them to face that as well. Like this guy was powered on seeds and plants, can't be strong.
But even now, Arnold Schwarzenegger's talking about it. He said like the future is without meat.
Is he vegan?
I don't think he's vegan, but he's like talking. I mean, obviously he must have eaten so much meat in his life and whey and all that stuff. And because obviously an idol in bodybuilding. Yeah, true. And there's the film coming out, I think September, called Gamechangers, which is about all about plant-based athletes as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that'll be.
I should have watched that first.
It's 21st of September that it comes out. So this is like an introduction to it.
Exactly.
This is like this episode of the Plank Code podcast was averagely interesting. I'm sure these people who made a film made it so much better. And I think Lewis Hamilton does feature in that as well.
Good stuff. Yeah, I hope so. I mean, fortunately the movie's already done. Otherwise, maybe they could have watched our podcast and then maybe added some more.
We could have narrated it.
We'll do a separate one. We'll talk about this again, I'm sure.
Yeah, who else have we got?
We got Nat Diaz, MMA fighter. He also, his brother influenced him, in fact, and they're both at the top of the game. His brother is not an MMA fighter. I think he was, but he didn't compete at the same level. But Nat Diaz, he is plant-based as well, and he also says, I've never felt better in terms of recovery. I can focus better in the ring, so at least that's the only right thing that I'm doing, except for kicking someone in the head, which I thought was pretty funny. So yeah, I mean, a lot of these sports that we're talking about, where these athletes are performing, whichever discipline it is, are performing at such high levels, where you need to have your mental capability. Tennis, which is, I think, more than 70% maybe just complete mental. You're sitting around thousands of people, you're playing a Grand Slam, and I could just imagine that Wimbledon final, the expectations that everyone was having. So that's the strain that you have, and also the fact that final between Roger Federer and Novak Djokovic,
that was an amazing game.
It was, and that game lasted 4 hours and 55 minutes, just below 5 hours. And what you go through during those hours, the stress, defending your points, and then you're just running, and it's just interval running up and down towards the net, back again, left, right, forehand, backhand, and it's just so much. And I mean, even like when we play, I mean, even I struggle a lot, but I could just not imagine.
The mental strain in all of these like high athletes, intensity in all of them, whether it be basketball, football. I mean, you think the strain you go through, and what I think as well, that when people move towards the plant-based diet, obviously we talked about the recovery and the physical aspect of it, but the mental side of it, if you're not putting all of that stress and all of that harm and into your body that comes through when you eat animal products, because that is in the meat and it's in cheese and these things, so it kind of gives you like a bit more peace of mind and focus, like you were mentioning earlier. So I do think it really helps your mindset.
If you're doing a plant-based diet, then basically your blood tends to, because there's less saturated fat, so your blood gets thicker in terms of velocity, as I said earlier, and that will just bring more hemoglobin, which is this oxygen cell, and that's what your muscles need during those intensive.
And there's no reason for anyone to believe today that you need meat for protein. No. Like, people can't possibly still believe that today. No. I mean, we did an episode about that, one of the first ones that we did, called Protein Power, actually, which is the 4th episode, I think it was, of the Plank Code. Yeah. But I mean, you can get cleaner sources of protein, and you get all the minerals with it as well, and the fiber and all this stuff that we discussed, and everyone knows this now. Like, you can't justify it. So if you can get cleaner sources, why are you going towards these products? And even a lot of meat eaters, they're turning towards the plant-based protein powders as well, because a lot of people know that whey isn't good for you.
It's becoming more and more, and you're going to see over the course of the years, we're hoping to see more plant-based athletes, and it will be happening, I'm sure. But interesting fact, though, that we were talking about why we're keeping this plant-based and not calling it just vegan athletes, because also you made an interesting discovery about the equipments that is being used.
So, I mean, after the plant-based athletes, now let's talk about how vegan sports actually are. And this stuff, like, I had no idea. It's just like every day you uncover new stuff. So I found these interesting numbers on www.onegreenplanet.org. And the NFL, so that's the National Football League, I think it is, in the US, it's American football. So how many cows do you think that they need to produce the right amount of footballs for a year?
Was it 3,000?
Yeah, 3,000 cows. So yeah, that is ridiculous.
That was for the entire league? That's for the entire season?
That's for the season, 3,000 cow skins, yeah. Because apparently with one cow skin you can produce 20 footballs. The official supplier of the NFL, which is Wilson, they manufacture 70,000 footballs a year. So if you think like it's so many, that is so many cow skins. But then people get into the argument like, but we already slaughter the cows, so we don't want the leather to go to waste.
So whatever they slaughter for food, then they use for the American football, the skin of the football itself.
That's how a lot of people justify the use of leather.
Yeah, well, Wilson will have to do, a different form of approach because it is going. At the end of the day, I don't know what the hell is the reason why they're doing this, but I guess it's because of the durability and yeah. But either way, I'm not defending it. I think they should find a different alternative. I'm sure it will happen.
There are two sports, they're both American sports, where in the regulations it says that you have to use leather products, and that is, like I said, American football and baseball, whereas it's mandatory for the balls to be made from genuine cow leather. Whereas in other sports like basketball, you can use synthetic and rubber, and a lot of NBA college teams are moving towards synthetic balls as well. So like there is a lot of consciousness around the movement when it comes to these things.
Even the major baseball league as well, we're using. We also had the regulation as far as I read as well, that they need.
Baseball and American football.
Baseball and American football,
yeah. But then it's not only those sports as well. I mean, so many sports today and so many sports that we practice use animal products that we don't even think about.
Yeah, it's true.
Whether it be running shoes, it could be even footballs. Footballs are made from leather, soccer balls.
Yeah. I mean, I think over the years, there's become a lot more selection of synthetic material that is being used to produce these equipment. And now when you look at Forest Rovers, that is an exceptional example of what you call a vegan organization, sporting organization in this case, who are just basically thought of everything. Yeah. Whether it's the grass, whether it's the stadium, whether it's the players, whether it's the uniform. Interesting, I would like to know how they travel between...
bicycle.
Like to and from bicycles, like super warm up.
Get to the game like dead. But then again, it's about doing the best you can do, isn't it? I mean, they've done so much. Like, I can't blame them if they have to fly. I don't think they play abroad anyway because they're in like national league, aren't they? So
yeah, well, I'm
sure they have an eco-friendly bus.
Well, if they get their good investment, then surely they'll attract some more players.
I mean, it's the intentions of it as well. It's amazing. I mean, I think it's incredible.
Even if they don't do that well, I mean, they should have all the credit for just what they're doing.
Give them a medal.
Give them a medal. Just they're almost last, and then they'd be like, well, they went so well with their whole organization. They should win the league. They will win the league.
Yeah. Look at it. They're gonna have the biggest support around in the vegan community, at least.
Two only supporters from Dubai.
And even in tennis, I was reading up about it. Obviously, tennis strings used to be made from guts, so intestines. Before, now obviously it's synthetic gut. And even tennis balls today, not all tennis ball brands are actually vegan. Some of them still use sheep wool for the tennis balls.
Okay.
But there are some vegan ones as well. So just be mindful in what you buy. And there are vegan alternatives out there. We're just trying to share some information and show people that there are things to think about when you do practice sports. But do exercise, do sport. It's important.
It is very important to keep your healthy life. And that is another thing and we emphasize a lot about. Just try to do a little bit of exercise every single day to keep your blood flowing, and it also helps preventing other forms too, diseases or something.
Yeah, of course.
For sure. Yeah.
I mean, it's all good to go fully plant-based, but then...
Yeah. I mean, I've never thought about any of the cases of sporting equipment not being
boxing gloves.
I've not thought... I know that there is certain materials or certain sporting equipment that is not vegan, and obviously now I've learned so much more, and I will be very conscious about the decisions that I make.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to change the way I kind of consume these products as well, and try and find out like if they genuinely are.
Just end up sitting inside, just
Yeah,
don't move, don't breathe.
Because even like running shoes, a lot of running shoes contain some form of leather in them.
Yeah.
Because it is a durable
Like
material.
The form of cow fat or something.
Yeah. But nowadays, what's great is there are so many companies out there that are providing alternatives and that are kind of getting on board with the whole cruelty-free aspect of things.
I mean, there is a redundancy, that's for sure. I'm sure there's not a boost, let's say, in leather footballs or whether it's boxing gloves or it is being reduced.
I mean, if there's anyone out there that's looking for a business idea, I would say make like 100% vegan American footballs.
That's true.
Out of pineapple.
Like throw that.
Just throw a pineapple.
Just throw a pineapple. Pineapple league.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's so much out there to do.
Oh,
we forgot to mention, Erik, you recently released a mixtape, which is why you've been so busy and you've been away working on your music.
one of the many reasons. No, but I did I contacted Plastic Oceans, which is an organization that is fighting to reduce plastic waste in oceans and on land. So I got in contact with them, and I told them I support your work, what you're doing, and I'm happy that an organization like yours is existing and fighting against these troubles. And they were like, yeah, thank you so much. And they got back, and I mentioned that I was gonna, since I have a big passion for music, I'm gonna release music once a month, and with that, I'm gonna donate $100 to my fundraiser, which we will put a link, if I may.
Of course,
Fundraiser link, and you can, whether it's $1 or 10 or 20, if you just contribute just a bit, every dollar leads to $1 million, and I just want to show the appreciation, and whoever wants to do as well, to just show and help these guys that are day by day just trying to spread awareness.
We'll definitely put a link to the fundraiser. And where can we find the music, most importantly?
SoundCloud as well. I'll put also a link. I guess so many links on this one.
Well, it's good,
yeah. So I'll be releasing a mix. It's minimalistic. I mean, it has really nothing to do with... it's just minimalistic. The sort
it's
of
not you hitting two carrots together.
No, exactly. Like very, 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 very plant-based music. No, it's for the summer vibes or whatever it might be. You can have a listen if you like electronic music.
I don't, but I listened to the mix and it's actually pretty good, so I would recommend you do check it out.
He's very critical, but I was quite happy when he said he didn't like it. Yeah.
I was to it in my car, actually. Yeah.
Can you play music in your car?
Of course.
Oh. If you'd see it, you'd be like, oh, wow. No comment. No comment. Yes.
So anyway, we're going to wrap this one up. If you enjoyed this episode that we tried to provide a bit more insight into the plant-based world, some facts, a bit of entertainment. If you enjoyed it, do reach out to us on Instagram at The Plant Code. We always love to hear from you. If you didn't like it, also do let us know. We do want to provide you with content that you enjoy, that entertains you throughout your day. So if you're on your way to work, your way back from work, if you're at home, I don't know, whatever you're doing, what else? If you're knitting or if you're making vegan cheese. American footballs.
Or American footballs in that case.
Yeah. Out of cheese.
Out of cheese. Do give us a shot. We like the constructive feedback, and yeah, it was great to be back, to be honest.
Good to have you back, Erik. I missed having you here. We'll do many more. There'll be more informative episodes to come if you want it. So have a great day, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one, and take care of yourself. Tune in next week for another episode of the Plant Code Podcast.
That's the year that they're saying's our last, unless we make a change now when we gotta be fast. But first we gotta make a shift in what we put in our mouths. See, silly Billy's thinking vegans eating grass on the ground. We talking fast food, yo, it's burgers and fries. And it used to hurt the earth and the birds in the sky, but now they making it with plants, and it's so much better, cause the animals are safe. No more changes in the weather. We better act fast, cause the ice barely freezing. The world's changing quick, so welcome to Planet Vegan. Woo! Damn, man, can you feel that? This place is getting hot. If we want to save the world, it'll take some work. If you want to make it better, then take off your shirt, wave it around your head, and jump into the streets. The revolution starts now. Can you feel its heartbeat? If we want to save the world, man, we better be quick, cause we're killing all the piggies and the cows and the chicks. And I gotta be honest, I ain't a fan of our fate, but we can make a change now, and it starts on our plates. All around the world, it's a brand new dance. What you're making out of bodies, yeah, we're making out of plants. We gotta save the pigs and the fishes in the sea. So hold on to your pants, planet vegan soon to be. There's a change up in the system, I can feel it in the air. But it benefits us all, there's no need to be scared. We're gonna change the world and we'll do it in a day. So don't fight the future, planet vegan's here to stay. If we wanna save the world, it'll take some work. If you wanna make it better, then take off your shirt, wave it round your head, and jump into the streets. The revolution starts now, can you feel its heartbeat? If we wanna save the world, man, we better be quick, cause we're killing all the piggies and the cows and the chicks. And I gotta be honest, I ain't a fan of our fate, but we can make a change now and it starts on our plates.
Massive forest fires have once again decimated the Californian coastline.
Iceland just held a funeral for the first glacier ever lost in the country's history due to warming weather patterns.
Europe was just hit with the hottest temperatures in recorded history.
Thousands of people are already dying every year from climate change-related issues, and this number is expected to rise exponentially over the coming decade.
Okay, this apocalyptic nightmare is about to be real. Forest fires, oceans flooding, let it fill you with fear. A billion refugees running across the borders in pain, and they're drowning while you're saying you're refusing to change. Slaughterhouses filled with bodies and they're letting out screams, but you're saying it's a lie, that it's only a dream. Let me tell you something, man, the nightmare is real, and you're paying for it daily with your supersized meal.